Matthew 5:27. Teaching about adultery. You have heard the commandment that says, you must not commit adultery. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So, if your eye, even your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your hand, even your stronger hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. Woo! Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Flee Temptation. I know that was kind of a wild scripture. I always thought it was wild when I first read it. But what does that actually mean? Well, first of all, it means you can't be looking at porn. You can't be having sex outside of marriage. You can't be doing anything sexual. So if there's anybody preaching or teaching something that's saying, oh, just go do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? It's just sex. We're about to get married anyway. It's just sex. You know, it's not like I'm having sex with, a real person. Instead of having sex with a real person, I'm married. Why not? Why can't I look at porn and stuff? Jesus, he put the law down like that. Like it was a wild statement to even say, because we went from talking about adultery, and we all know what adultery is. It's when a man that's married, steps out of that marriage and has sexual intercourse, whatever, with somebody that's not his wife. And, that's pretty self-explanatory. And that's something that was like a law that was given to the Israelites, back in the days of Moses. And when Jesus came around, he took that one step, he took that a notch higher. And it sounds harsh on the outside. I'm like, man, what do you mean I'm committing adultery if I even look? You know what I'm saying? And I always hear, amongst men and stuff, what's wrong with looking? You know what I'm saying? It's there. They're the ones that dress that way. Like, what is the harm in looking? And I used to think that same thing. I'm just like, what is Jesus even talking about? You can't even look? Like, it's impossible. Like, there's women all over the world. How can you just not look at a woman? But it took me some time to finally understand it. What Jesus was addressing is the heart problem. And you can talk about, porn being the problem. But when it's all said and done, porn is not the problem. It starts way before porn. And you can say that with anything, anybody that's having a problem with something. If somebody that's struggling, with obesity, it starts way before, eating that hamburger and all that stuff. It starts way before that. Somebody that's struggling with alcoholism, it starts way before being, opening up that beer or going to the happy hour or whatever. It starts way before that. And that's the thing that we gotta realize with porn. And this is the point that Jesus was trying to make. Like, no, yes, adultery is still adultery, but adultery starts way before you even commit that act. Because the first act starts in the mind. That's where the first act starts. And that's why he challenged people. And people think that, man, Jesus, he changed the law. No, it's the same law, but it starts with the mind. He was trying to tell people that, no, the act of sin didn't start when, you started having sex. No, the act of sin started way before that, because sin always starts in the mind first. And fleeing temptation is all about, controlling that mind. That's why the Bible is big on the mind. When, one of my favorite scriptures is Romans 12:2. And, I know that the New Living Translation by heart is like, do not copy the behaviors and customs of this world, but let God transform you by changing the way you think. And the thing is, we can't change ourselves. Like in that scripture alone, it tells us that there's no possible way that we can change ourselves. It starts with surrendering to God, telling God, look, I cannot do this. I need you to help me change the way that I think, change the way how I view women, because I cannot do this. And that's where it all starts with. So Jesus was just challenging us to, like, look, if you really want to live a life of purity, it must start way before, you commit that act. If you want to live a porn-free life, it starts way before porn. If you want to live a life, if you're single right now and you're trying not to have sex before marriage, or you're struggling with that type of stuff, it starts way before that. It starts with the eyes, the mind. Like Jesus was like, if you even look at a woman lustfully, you're committing adultery in your heart. So, and then he took it a step further. When I read a little further, it was like, if your hand is causing you to sin, you cut that thing off. If your eye is causing you to sin, you gouge it out. And that's super extreme. And Jesus wasn't really telling us it was a figure of speech, but it was also truth too. It was extreme. And he was saying, if you want to do this, you got to be extreme. Now, not as extreme as gouging your eye out, but you got to be extreme as what's causing you to go to those porn sites. What's causing you to keep having sex outside of marriage? What's causing you to do these things, to commit these lustful acts? And that's step number one. When you have to figure out what's the reason for all that. When it came to my porn life, my sexual life, I sat down and really thought about it. Off the top of my head, one of the things that I had to cut out, because that's pretty much what you're doing. You have to think about what's causing these things, and you have to take that step forward and cut that thing out. And you got to constantly pray and ask God to change the way that I think. Help me not to, crave those things. Help me to be disciplined. And so the first, one of the things that I realized I was doing, for the most part, when I was falling, it was in bathrooms. You're like, in bathrooms? Yes. Because when you think about it, bathroom, that's the most, like when you're using the bathroom, not to be too explicit, but when you're taking that dump, it's just you. It's just you. Nobody else is in that bathroom with you. Even in a public bathroom, you got the stalls. Like nobody else is in that stall with you. So it's one of the most private moments of your day. Each and every day, you get that private moment of you just being in the bathroom. And That's one thing I had to realize. I fall a lot of the times when I'm in the bathroom, because I used to always take my phone to the bathroom. And a good portion of that time, I fell. Because you can always say, I always say, oh, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to watch some sports highlights. I'm just going to, do something. I'm just going to be scrolling on Instagram, nothing crazy. And then you see something crazy. And the thing in my mind was, I was always trying to stumble upon something crazy. And then I'm like, well, we're here right now. We might as well keep going further. And then I started off on Instagram. Now, sometimes I would just go right to it. Like, why I'm here. I'm going straight to the porn site. But other times, like, let me just if I stumble upon something, then I'll take it to the next level. And then I'll take it to the next level. And I would always think in my mind, I'm not going to go that far anyway. I'm just taking a dump real quick and I'm going to just be out of here. But I would just go further and further. And before you know it, I'm on the porn site and I'm just scrolling, trying to find the perfect video. And then I would do the act. And every single time, that cleanup, you just man, you're just so stupid. You fell for it again. Because that's how the devil works. In the build up, he's like, oh, it's just, you're just looking, nothing's gonna happen. There's nothing wrong. And then as soon as you commit the act, you're stupid. You fell for that thing again. God's never gonna love you. Like, he's just constantly filling your head up with lies. So that was one of the first things that I had to cut out. I had to cut out taking my phone in the bathroom. Another thing that I had to cut out, my social media intake. Now, I used to just browse, and any and everything would just come up. And I follow people that I actually knew that were my friends that they would just post anything. And I had to make that decision because I was like, well, this is one of my friends. Like, I've known this person for years. Like, why would I just stop being friends with them? Well, that's what Jesus was talking about. You have to be that extreme. And it's not the fact that you're not friends with them anymore. It's the fact that when it comes to online, you're not looking at their stuff anymore. And then there's a few ways that you can do this. You can unfollow them. There's other ways where you can just mute them, where you can hide their post. I think the best way is just to unfollow them. But if you're one of those people that's like, well, I don't want, to make it seem like I don't want to be their friend anymore, then, you can block their content from coming up on your feed. Like, there's a few people that like that for me, that I just block their content. You can block their stories, you can block their posts, you can block anything from them. And then there were other people where I just unfollowed them. I'm like, nah, I don't even know you like that, and you just be posting some crazy stuff, so I'm just gonna unfollow you. And if you get mad, you get mad. At the end of the day, I'm married anyway, so why does it matter? Why does it matter anyway? And another thing, that Instagram Explore page. When I tell you that thing is the devil, it is the devil. That was something that I had to train. Not just Instagram, but YouTube too. And I didn't realize that there's a way, like, I don't know how it is now, because I honestly, if I can be honest with you, I don't have Instagram or any kind of social media installed on my phone. I'll get into that a little bit, but back when I was on it, you can just long press a picture and a menu would pop up, and there was something that said not interested. Now, at one point when I went to my Explore page, it would be nothing. It was nothing but half naked woman. Now, why was it nothing but half naked woman? Because that's the thing that I kept seeing on my timeline. That was the thing that, like, Instagram really watches you, watches like how long you spend on a certain picture, the things that you like, the things that you like. They're really monitoring that. And when they're like, okay, we see that you were on this picture for a little bit longer, or you did this, we're gonna keep feeding you that. So how in the world do you break free from that? Well, you gotta press the not interested button, and you can't just do it one time. Like, you gotta do it multiple times, because the opposite of feeding, you gotta actually starve that thing. You gotta change the diet. So if you go to your Explore page, and that's the thing, you can go to anybody's Explore page and you'll know exactly what they're into. Wives, like, I'm not trying to start anything with the husband, but if you want to really know what your husband is into, or reverse, like, you can do the reverse, because it's not just a man woman thing. Like, woman, man, we all struggle with it. But if either one of y'all are curious to know what your spouse is into, for the ones that are on Instagram, go to that Explore page, and you're gonna see the things that your spouse is into. Or even for the people that's not married, like, if you're dating, like, you're gonna see the things that they're into. And for me, like, it was just a whole bunch of half naked women, or maybe they weren't half naked, but it was just a whole bunch of women too. And I got my wife to help me with this. I actually gave her my phone. I'm just like, look, she pretty much did that for every woman that came up. Not unless it was somebody that, if it was like a family member, or something like that, a mutual friend of ours, somebody that's not showing anything, she didn't do it for that. But if it was just any woman, like, she just did that for everybody. And slowly, but surely, like I say, you can't do this. It's not a one-time thing. It's a constant thing. And I said the fastest way to do it, I would just keep scrolling on Explore page for a good 30 minutes and just keep doing it and doing it. And then, maybe the next day or so, go back just to check to see if it's changed a little bit. And just keep doing it over and over again until things start changing. And then, after you do that, pretty much after she did that, my page started changing. Like, I still get on Instagram on the computer, but I only get on a few pages. I'm sorry if y'all just saw me just get upset real quick, because the person was, they were hitting the brakes and the light was green. And we're just turning, and then the light started turning yellow. I'm just like, what are you doing? But anyway. And then somebody's just standing in the middle of the road. This is wild. I am so confused. Anyway, this is a lot of wild stuff just happening right now. But anyway, I started getting on, like, the number one page I get on now on Instagram is Bleacher Report. Like, I just love sports. I'm a Commanders fan, so I follow their page. I like the Thunder. Hopefully they win the finals. I follow their page. NFL, like, pretty much anything sports related. So even if I'm just going on my regular timeline, the first few things that's going to pop up is going to be something dealing with sports. And yeah, that was that's a big help. Like, my whole Explore page is changed now. So that's one of the things that I would challenge y'all to do. It takes time, it takes discipline, but when you do it effectively, when it's done effectively, your timeline, your explore page, all of that stuff will change. Another thing that I had to cut out. Was the shows and the movies that I watched. And this one was a hard one. But before that, I'll go to one that I kind of did. I'll do a small one too. I had to cut out the music. Now that's something I had already started cutting out. But I kind of gradually got back into the music again. Like, I would say 95, maybe even a little bit higher. 98% of the stuff that's on the music that I listen to on Spotify is Christian music. Whether it's Christian rap, gospel, contemporary CCM. Yeah, it's. I just have to cut it out, and I love music. I used to be a big Kendrick Lamar fan, J. Cole, Kanye. I used to like R&B too, but a lot of that music, it was just sexual. And you can say music doesn't affect you, but it really does. It really does. Because I remember when I had been good for a little bit and I hadn't really looked at porn for a few months, I had started listening to the music again, and a lot of times I would fall right back into the trap of porn and stuff, because I was playing that song, and then I would see somebody walking by, and then like the listeners went on, and I just stumbled upon porn again. And it's not really a stumble upon. Like, you gotta really look at all the things that you struggle with. Look at all the things why do you keep running back to this? Like, you gotta look at all the things that you gotta cut out. And music, that was one of them. But it was something I did early on but I had to recut it out like later on. Anyway, back to the other one with the stuff that I watched on TV. Now, I am big. Like, I didn't grow up in a rough household or whatever. I didn't grow up in the hood or anything, but I love those type of shows, like the drug dealing shows, the shows like Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. Yeah, I love the 90s hood movies, like Juice, Boys in the Hood, all them type of stuff. I love those type of movies. That's like my favorite genre. Like, I really love, and I never lived that lifestyle, like I said, but I guess I love living that lifestyle through movies. But the thing is, like, back in the day, you used to watch that stuff. But these days, my goodness, you can't have a show like that without a whole bunch of nude scenes. And it just frustrates me so much. I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, back in the day, I could just watch this type of stuff. Like, now for some people, they struggle with shows with violence and cursing and all that stuff, and that affects them. And if that's something, you gotta know what affects you. Like, I could watch those type of things and it wouldn't cause me to curse or any of that type of stuff. But those sex scenes, all that type of stuff, that would excite me, and I would want to go look at porn. So I had to cut that out. And the way that I had to cut it out is extreme, but you got to do it. You have to look up not just the ratings, but you got to look up to see if it actually has nude scenes in it. Like, that's what I actually do. I look it up to see, does this have any nudity in it? And one of the most trusted sources I can never remember the actual acronym, but it stands for Internet Movie Database. I think it's IM. I don't know. I always forget the acronym, but pretty much when you look up any movie, Internet Movie Database, it comes up like instantly. If you were to just look up just a random movie on Google, it'll come up. You click on that, and then it'll tell you if this movie, it's a parents guide section, and there's a section called sex and nudity, and it'll tell you like a lot of the people that seen the movie, they will contribute, and it'll tell you if it has like sex scenes, nude scenes, and all that stuff in it. And it'll actually explain it, like, yeah, in such and such scene, the woman's breast was exposed, full breast exposed, blah blah blah. So that's what I do now. If it's like rated R, rated mature, and it could be a movie that I really want to see, but when I always have to look. There's so many things that I've wanted to watch that I just haven't watched. Like I'm big into the drug dealing shows and all that type of stuff, and like I've always wanted to watch shows like Power and The Shy and like shows like that. I've always wanted to watch it because those are my favorite shows. Like, but I can't. And there's movies that I've seen that I saw in movie theaters that I just cannot. When I tell you, one of my favorite movies is Straight Outta Compton. I know that's random, but I love that movie. I saw that movie 2, maybe 3 times in the movie theater. I haven't seen it since. Now, when I saw it at the time, I wasn't taking these extreme measures, but now that I'm taking these extreme measures, I can't look at that movie anymore. Not unless I know that there's certain apps like VidAngel. I haven't used it yet, but I know there's certain ways where you can block those type of scenes. But they're not on all the streaming platforms. So, but that's one of the things that, like, I love that movie. It was so inspirational. But yeah, I can't watch it because of that. So that's one of the things. Like, this is one of the hardest things that I have to do. Because me and my wife, we'll be on Netflix and we'll see like this trailer for some movie that it was just dope. And the number one thing that I do when the trailer's over, I'm like, okay, let me go look it up to see. And some apps, they'll show you, they'll tell you. Like, I know Netflix for sure. If you go to the details, they'll tell you if it has nudity in it too. So, but we'll watch the trailer, and then I'll get down to the bottom, and I'm like, man, it has nudity in it. I can't watch it. And then, like there's times where I'm just like, don't even look at the trailer. Let's just go see if it has any nude scenes in it, because I don't want to get disappointed. I'd rather not know what this movie's about, and I find out that there's nude scenes in it, and I can just be on my way, than to, man, this movie's gonna be really good, and I can't watch it. But yeah, that's how extreme you gotta be. That's what Jesus was talking about when he said you gotta cut it out. You don't physically cut off your hand. You don't physically gouge your eyes. You do it with whatever you're struggling with. You got to take that. You got to ask God, like, God, show me the areas that's causing me to keep running to porn. Show me what it is. Show me why I keep doing this. I might have to actually make a part 2 because there's a whole bunch of things I cut out. But I'll do one more thing. And when I talk about this, I'm gonna have to make a video about this, maybe multiple videos, because this one right here is the big one. And if I can be honest with you now, it's something that I'm still back and forth, like I'm not perfect at it, if I can be honest with you. But it's pretty much what Jesus was talking about, looking at women in a lustful way. And it's bouncing your eyes. And this concept of bouncing the eyes, it's in the book called Every Man's Battle. Now, when I read the book, I read the Every Young Man's Battle book first, because, at one point I was a young man, but I'm getting a little older now. But I would challenge people to read that one. It's still a good book. But yeah, that was a concept that was in their book. Pretty much, when you see a woman, that catches your eye, you instantly got to bounce your eyes. You got to look another way. Because that's one of the things. Like, you're always going to see women. Like, women, they're not going anywhere. You're always going to see them. So you got to take that mental note of, when you see somebody that looks good, immediately you look another way. And this one is the hardest one out of all of them. It's the hardest one out of all of them. But it's the one that's going to take, it's going to take more than a day. It's going to take more than a week. Shoot, it might take 6 months. It might take a year. It's like when you first went to the gym and you're trying to, gain weight, or you're trying to lose weight. That first day at the gym, whew, is rough. That second day, rough. That third day is the roughest. But the more you keep doing it, the more you keep putting the reps in, it gets easier and easier and easier. So that's what it comes down to. See a woman, whoop, bounce your eyes. Bounce your eyes. Look completely in another direction. People are going to think you're crazy. Like, what's wrong with this man? But that's something that you have to do. Because when I say, that's where it starts first. It starts with the eyes. Because if you can master that, when you get on Instagram, like, it's going to be easy to scroll away, or easy to put not interested. It's going to be easy to choose not to watch a certain movie, because you've already mastered bouncing the eyes. Like I said, that's a big one. I'll go into more details on that one in another video. Before I close out, I want to dive back into the Instagram one again. So currently, I do not have any social media. If I get on social media, it's on my computer, because that's where I have Covenant Eyes. I have Covenant Eyes on my phone, but it still doesn't monitor everything. Like, it doesn't monitor like the apps. It just monitors the browser. On the computer, it monitors everything, like the apps and all of that stuff. Anything outside of the browser, like, it monitors it all. And I don't know if that's just an iPhone thing, or it might be a little different on Android. I'm not sure. But for that reason, like, I do not have any social media apps on my phone. I just took it out. What you're watching me on right now, YouTube, I don't even have that app on my phone. I don't have any streaming platforms on my phone. Now, I'm not telling anybody to be as extreme as this, but if you know yourself, you should be extreme like this. If this is something that you have to cut out, cut it out. Cut it out. I challenge you to cut it out. You're not missing out on anything. You are not missing out on anything. But yes, I know it's a battle, it's a struggle, it's a fight. But you can do this. You can do this. And you watching this video, that's a good first step. That's a good first step. You really want this. You're really about this. Don't give up when you fall. Keep asking God for strength. Help me to cut these things out. Show me other things that I need to cut out. Change the way that I think. Help me to live a life of purity, help me to want to actually do this. And when I do fall, when I do fail, like help me to forgive myself. Help me to ask forgiveness to you, Lord. Just continue to help me. Continue to help me to flee temptation. Find some scriptures to keep praying over your life when it comes to this area. But I'm going to be praying for y'all. Like, I really, like, this is an ongoing thing. Stay prayed up. Fight that fight. You got this. You can do this. All right. Peace.